Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I'm working on a Teesha Moore style art journal page, and I just thought I would do it on camera to show you some of my techniques and things that I like to try, and maybe that'll give you some new ideas for something to play around with in your art journal. I want to start off by saying thank you to Leslie for her coffee donation. Thank you so much, Leslie. I raise my cuppa to you. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I created this page layout in my art journal. So today I thought I'd do a Teesha Moore style art journal page in my Big Ranger Dylusions journal, where I'm doing a lot of Teesha Moore type of pages. So I thought I would just take this morning and work on one, and I'll just do a quick speed through so you can watch. For the first layer, I always like to just throw down some color with a damp sponge and some paints. And I'm going to add a couple more colors just to get some depth going, and then I'll do some stenciling. I received a bunch of stencils in Happy Mail from Mimi, so thank you so much, Mimi. Stencils are my favorite thing, and they were all ones that I didn't have, which is awesome. I love when I add some new stuff to my stash to play with. So today I'm just going to do some stenciling with different colors and different stencils on the background. So after I get a base down like this, the next step I do is border, of course, and I like to just grab lots of bits. I have bits from magazines and scrapbook papers and napkins and a little bit of everything, and I just start working on the border. And this time what I kind of want to do is I want to do some rectangle shapes, small and large, that come in, and I want to do it in 3 sections because I like the rule of 3. The rule of 3 works for me. So what I like to do is to just start cutting pieces of different widths and different lengths like this. And then I'm going to just start laying them out on my border edge. So I'm going to have some thin ones, some thick ones, some long ones, some short ones. And just overlap them even. And just start laying them out like this. And I love things like this that are checkered and patterned. So every time I find something that looks like it would make a cool border, I throw it in my bin for borders. And then when I want to do a page, I just dig through and find stuff to grab out of the border bin. So like this, I'm going to just start laying out my border pieces all the way around. As I start to add little things, this is a piece of napkin that made a really cool border, so I'm going to add that in. This is a piece of a coffee filter that's just cut in a circle, and I'm going to just crunch it up and add it to the border to make a circle of texture. And I'm going to obviously use matte gel medium to put that down, but that's going to be somewhere that's going to be off the page to just add a little texture. And then here's a piece that was from a coloring book, which I thought would make a really cool corner, because it's a corner piece from a coloring book. So that's going to make a cool corner somewhere, and I'm just going to start laying some things out. And then I also had the idea of, this is a magazine that was a beauty type of magazine, and I think that in a strip would make a really cool piece on the border. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to incorporate that somehow into my border. Once I get everything laid out where I want it to be, then I start using matte gel medium, and I like Try Art, and I start applying everything down with matte gel medium. I put 3 coffee filter circles on there because I did like the circles and the texture and how it dulled down that background. It was kind of fun. So that's where I'm at so far, and I'm going to set this aside and let it completely dry. And these are the focals that I want to use on this page. So this came from Paper Scissors magazine, and this one came from Art Doll Quarterly from 2008, and I really like those images, so I'm going to trim those out and get ready to add those to the page as soon as this is dry. So next I'm going to take matte gel medium, and I'm going to put my focal points on the page, and I think I'm going to put them like this. So I'm going to apply those down to the page with matte gel medium. Next I'm going to use some rubber stamps and some Ranger Archival ink in black to add some more interest. I know what I want to do for journaling, and these hands are going to really add something to the title and what I'm trying to convey in this layout. So what I want to do is to stamp these hands. I'm going to put one there. And then I want the other one to be reaching up a little bit higher. And to do a reverse flip image, I'm going to use my small round jelly plate, and I stamped my image, and I'm going to stamp my jelly plate and then flip it over and stamp it on the page. That way you get a reverse image of your rubber stamp. Just like that. Next I'm going to take some Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 crayons, and where I've put these coffee filters, I'm going to just add some color, and I wanted some blue on this page, so I'm going to just color on the coffee filters. Nothing too fancy or specific, but it's bringing up the texture. Look how that picks up the texture of the coffee filters. And then what I'm going to do is just dampen my fingers with my little spray bottle and start to just rub that out. I don't want to spray it right on because it's water reactive and it'll spread it out too much. I just want to blend it a little bit, so with damp fingers that are just barely wet, it gives a nice, see how that blends it out, but it doesn't make it go all the way. It's just a light touch, blending it out. If I wet it, the whole thing would just pick up the blue and just turn blue, and I want those coffee filter textures to stay because I just love the way that looks. You can see what's underneath. I love the shape of it. Look how pretty that is. And then once I get it where I want it to be with the level of color, and I could add a second color with the Neos, but I think I like it just as is. Maybe I will. I'll go one color brighter. Darker and brighter. There. That adds some interest and depth. Pretty. These Neo colored shoes are so versatile like this. You can just throw in a touch of color wherever you want it. Look how cool that looks. So it brought those circles to life. Pretty. How about taking some green? Let's go in here in this spot. Let me zoom in a little bit and add some more green. So I'm going to take that Neo Color 2 in a bright green, and same thing, just add it in and blend it out with my finger. Look how pretty that is. It just ties everything in together and adds a pop of color. They're so nice and vibrant. That's what I love about them. They're bright and vibrant. The warmth of my finger blends it out. So now I have a pop of green. Now I'm going to take a Holtz Distress Ink in Peacock Feathers, and I'm going to pick up the texture in the coffee filter area. So I'm going to just lightly go over it. Look what that does. Oh, so cool. So that just added even more color and depth. Love it. Now I'm going to start doing some pen work with some Posca gel pens. Where I stamp these hands, I want them to be really, really black, and I didn't care that they didn't stamp super black because I can go over them. So I'm going to make the hands darker. I'm going to tie them in with some doodling. I'm going to start doing some doodling around the page, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So there's the difference in going over it in Posca pen or leaving it just stamped. It makes it nice and vibrant and stand off the page, which is what I wanted. So I've just taken my Posca pen and I've darkened up the places that I stamped. So that made it a little more vibrant. And the stamp just gave me the template for the pattern, and then I was able to do it in pen. Now I'm taking a little, this is just a little soft spongy stamp and some paint, and I'm going to just stamp some painted stamped images, texture onto the background. I just like to keep adding layers, and this cute little stamp will just add some paint. Add some more interest to it, and I'm not going to do too much, just a little bit. Just want to bring more of the blue color in, and in just a few spots. So that's what I'm doing, is adding some painted stamping. I've added the words, anything is within reach if you just try. So that's what my saying is, and now what I'm doing is just taking a pen and I'm going around and tracing the images that I stenciled and just adding some doodling, and then I'll come back and show you the final result. So here's the final result. I've got the words, anything is within reach if you just try. And I've got my reaching hands, and then this little person tethered to the sky. One of my last things that I like to do is to take Nuvo Drops. This is in a solid white, and it's really glossy. And I'm going to go over these dots here that are white dots and add some dots here. I'm going to glue on some sequins here, and I like to add some sparkle and interest, and I always do that last. But before I do that, I seal my pages. So I use a matte finish spray. It can be any brand. This one's Krylon, and it's a permanent matte finish that just keeps your pages from yellowing. It seals everything in that's maybe water reactive, anything like that. And then once that dries, then I go back in and I do my embellishments. If I did these first, the gloss would be turned into matte from the matte spray. So I seal first, then do my glossy accents and my glossy interesting things to it. And then the very, very last thing after the glossy things like this dry, my final step is to take some Gamblin Cold Wax. This is Gamblin Cold Wax. And I put a little bit of that on my finger. Let me show you a previous page and flip back and show you what I do. I take some Gamblin Cold Wax, you put it on your finger. I just pick up a little bit with my finger. I rub it onto my page. And I especially put it on places where I have added embellishment, things like Nuvo Drops or glossy accents by Rangers or anything that I've glued on, things like that. It'll keep your pages from sticking together, and it works fabulous for this. And it takes very little, just a little bit on your fingers, rubbing it together, and then your pages won't stick together. So that's my very last step, is to go back in, spray matte finish, let it dry, which only takes a minute, put on my glossy accents and Nuvo Drops and things that are shiny and sparkly, add sequins, and then after the page is completely dry, I rub in a little bit of Gamblin Cold Wax, and it keeps my pages nice and they don't stick together when the book is closed on the shelf. And there's a list of supplies that I use and love in the description box below. So if you're wanting to know what products I use to create this page and where to find them, there are links for some of them, but a description of what I've used to create this page. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this art journal layout today, inspired by Teesha Moore. And maybe it gave you some ideas for something to try in your art journal. Maybe a technique you haven't tried before, maybe something you haven't seen, or a product you haven't used. So give it a try and enjoy what you do. Make some art in your journal, because art soothes the heart. Thanks for stopping by.